All right. Whew, aloha. Sorry, I've been procrastinating a lot. Part two was cut off on the last one, and I kind of had a lot to say. So, um, thank you for watching All Good Things in All Good Time, and I got a lot to go over. First of all, important business. If anybody needs their pictures retrieved off of their hard drives in Lahaina town, and spread the word if you know somebody that needs to know this. Um, drivesavers.com. Drivesavers. Wonderful people. Unlike all the other .com companies that have no customer service, they have lots of customer service and they're working for you for free. So if you're from the Lahaina Fire, and I'm gonna go dig up mine and get them out and send them in if they're intact in any way. All they have to have done is survived no more than 1400 degrees. If it was 1400 degrees, then they're made of ceramic though, your hard drives. And so lots of you might just have retrievable pictures that will mean a lot to you. So drivesavers.com. They can also save you if somebody ransoms your pictures, right? If they can get information off of something off of the bottom of the ocean or from a fire, which is what they do, for your phone too, anything um, that you need to retrieve information from, they can help you with. So it's just amazing what they can do and how great their customer service is, unlike YouTube, who seems to have none. Anyway, all right. So sad business, but still important. This girl, her first name Christy Licklider, she ran through the smoke, got on a plane, went home, and passed away within hours. And I don't know if she's on their official lists. So she should be, if you know how to put her on an official list. And also, people need to know that she passed away. Because that is, I know it's my curiosity about everybody. And I don't feel like I know everybody who passed away already, but they say they know. And that's one of the weird things, is how we as a community suspect that there's just got to be more from all the things we've heard, and how the number went so low down to 98 plus 6 or something. Anyway, my son lost his friend's brother died. I saw one kid in the list. I expect that's him, but anyway, uh, yeah. They released these 911 tapes that had just some haunting messages, and of course that makes you wonder even more about certain things, but we'll get back to that stuff. So yeah, Christy Licklider, and it kind of begs the question. I'm relatively isolated. I know one guy who knew her and knew that. And so, how many other stories might there be amongst 7,200 of us about somebody who passed away that's not on the list or something to that effect? I don't know. But I suspect that that's not the only one that needs to be added to the list, right? So, there's that. I may have figured out how to overcome my shortcomings with FEMA. I think I'll be getting the letter I need. So we'll see what happens on that. They're timing everybody out on a bunch of other things, though, today. It didn't say for my thing, but I'm going to try to get to them today. The day they're timing people out for property and damage loss and all that, stuff like that. So, yeah, but rejected by Oprah and The Rock and then timed out. They're not helping anybody out anymore. It's too late after the 16th. I was told, or the 14th. I was told on the 12th I had 48 hours to get some more documents to them. Not sure if I had them. Might be the one I'm getting today. Like having a license, which is not easy to get, and a bank bill, and a statement from healthcare, and a statement from your employer, and uh, bank statements, something from your um, auto insurer, with your address on it is not enough. I had to get a letter, saying that I paid rent, and it's silly. This should be irrelevant. Um, so, yeah, that's a weird thing. I'm lucky because I'm getting unemployment. Thank God I have for that. But and some people aren't. They didn't work somewhere 6 months, or they're self-employed or whatever. So, um, yeah, it's everyone has their own story of having and or having not, or some variation of the two, which is just an interesting world. Got tourists here. They say we're opening November 1st. All the islands. It's so weird here because there's these tourists walking around just so happy-go-lucky, and then everyone else is devastated. And I saw a lady in the news, and she was really speaking for all of us because we do feel like they're trying to push us out, and they don't want these poor tourists to have to look at us, and they don't want to look at us. And Jamie from Maui's West Side Cycles. He called me because somebody picked up my mountain bike. I left it on my driveway. Apparently, it does help. Just throw your shit out on the driveway. Maybe it won't burn. My mountain bike frame was fine and stuff. Parts of it were fine. So I told him just give that. He's got friends who own bike shops. So I said give that to somebody, let him build it up, give it to somebody. I guess the frame was still all right. It's a Specialized Carve Pro, pretty good bike. But that was cool. Somebody turned it into him, and then he called me. His store is gone, burned down. He lost everything, and he's doing nice things like that for people. So that's cool. What else? Yeah, I was thinking if I could get a business, just rent any space, which may not be easy, but if I could do that, and then if I got a van that I could live out of, I could have a van I could live out of and a business that I could crash at, and in case my credit's so bad I can't get a place to live. All right, let's solve the housing crisis real quick. All right, it's really easy to solve the housing crisis. How do we do that? So look, there's land that's acquirable, or it's already acquired by and owned by county, state, federal governments, everywhere, right? Or it could be donated, whatever, right? So you get land, you put up what we know. We know these exist, right? There's all these versions of affordable tiny homes, right? There's the ones you can put up in 2 hours, I think. There is the concrete dome. There's so many versions that could be between 30 to 70 grand. I heard of some company that wanted to try to lower their cost down to 35,000 a home and send us as many as they wanted, and some government person or agency said no. And so that's a bummer. Anyway, sounds kind of like my idea. Anyway, but we can do this everywhere, not just here. We can solve our problems here and everywhere doing this instead of focusing on building giant homes, right? Just build a bunch of really smart, small, communities, one after another, where you get these homes for this amount of money, between 30 and 70 grand, and you put them up, and you try to keep the costs, as far under 100 as you can. And then, because what we have in our country is a whole lot of hardworking people that show up to work, but that might not have good credit, right? So like a used car, you say you got a job, come on down, let's get you in a house, right? And and we do that for one person after another. We start with the oldest people, and then in a place like this, we then work backwards. The people who've lived here the longest, which would be the oldest, and uh, and then you know just work backwards. People who've been here the longest, and give them the opportunity to do this. Um, Now, if you and you don't have to give them anything, right? If you understand mortgages, uh, it's pretty simple math. Basically, about if it's $100,000, whatever the interest rate is about how many hundreds of dollars it is a month. So, if it was $100,000 loan and it was 6.5%, it'd be about $650, roughly speaking. Let's say hypothetically. So, uh, if you can get these things into people's hands at a price of about 60 or 70 grand, I mean, even at 7% on a 30-year mortgage, you're talking about $400, $500 maybe, right? A month. And so, and then you don't have to necessarily give it to them right away into that. You could, make it rent to own for a couple years to make them prove that they can handle the responsibility if you want, whatever. But bam, make it a mortgage, and then let them buy it ultimately over time on a 30-year mortgage. And you're not giving them anything. You're just letting a hard-working American buy a little house, right? And that's what we need to do. We need to celebrate the people who work, right? And at the same time, alongside that, create a guaranteed employment program, right? Where the employment agency gives you a job first day you want to start working. And it is whatever it is until they find you the thing you're looking for, and it is what and you just go in there willing to put an effort in to make your community a better place. And maybe you'll help cover graffiti, or plant flowers, or sweep, or pick up trash on the side of the road if you're willing, capable, whatever it is. Maybe you'll go to school and get paid to go to school, whatever. You'll 8 hours, if you're willing to put in 8 hours a day, showing up, punching in, punching out, doing whatever it takes within your capabilities. And meanwhile, they're looking for a job that you want more, then bam. So guaranteed employment. Then once someone's working and they prove that they can work, bam, they can get a house. And then we can solve homelessness, unemployment, housing all at once, and value and celebrate people who work. We could also create boot camps for people where we offered them that as alternatives throughout beginning, or maybe make it part of the military. We should have a military that accepts people of all ages, right? If you watch Ukraine, some of the best soldiers are old bastards like me that are passionate. Uh, Passion is an important aspect of being a soldier or whatever, and everyone's got different talents, right? I mean, you could take a freaking chef, a famous chef that wants to serve in the military, and if he wants to cook for the soldiers, let him enlist and let him serve his country, even if he's a old dude. Help him get in better shape. Have boot camps for fat old chefs and fat video gamers that want to, work drones and but want to join the military, even though they're overweight. Create a space for everybody in the military, and maybe make that employment program a feeder into that, amongst other things. Anyway, all right. So we just solved the housing crisis. Everyone who wants a home can get a home, and you can get a mortgage, and then make those communities smart with gardens and solar and batteries. And energy independence isn't a country that's energy independent, it's a household that's energy independent, right? Wouldn't it be great if we were just getting almost all of our energy ourselves, right? We also do water catchment from the sun, or maybe little windmills, and then, or whatever, and then putting that into batteries, and then putting that into our car, and then our car or our bike being our vehicle, right? That would be cool. right? Anyway, so solve the housing crisis. Hotel experience has changed dramatically. It's relatively pretty wonderful. Started out no TV. That was just weird and deafening silence for 10 days or whatever. And then we got TV. Woo. And then and the pool was off limits. And now we can use the pool. And that's exciting. It's the worst pool for swimming laps because it has the shallow end that just goes too shallow. So I gotta do a flip turn in the middle of nowhere. That's cool. Anyway, so I can swim. So that's cool. And then the food is, I didn't even realize this, but you can get food at night to go, or you can go into the restaurant at the Bruco and order two things. Two things. Oh my God. So I haven't even done that yet, but it's just, and I assume people I've talked to haven't been tipping. I assume, they just ring it in, hit 20%, and then close it out, and it gets all put to FEMA or whatever. But yeah, I'll be tipping on top of that 20%, right? Because we need to tip 20+% because we have class. We know how to go out to dinner. So yeah, I got to go take care of business today. I got to go get that important letter. I'm gonna try to get my Social Security card rolling and my birth certificate rolling, and I need to get health insurance. And so these weird theories, and there's the news. The news is focused on how traffic was blocked coming out, which is why it'd be nice to hear all the tapes of all the conversations between the emergency responders, the police, and the firemen. I'm sure everything was pandemonium, but who was telling who to do what, and so on. I think that would be good to hear in retrospect, And I'm not assuming that everyone or anyone did anything nefarious but maybe mistakes were made, right? Like maybe normally when power lines are down, you don't send traffic into it. But when there's a fire, maybe you do, but you just haven't trained for that or talked about thinking outside the box or taking an initiative in a situation where you must because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes following orders isn't what you want everyone to do, right? So, and then so let's start in the morning, early on at 4 a.m. when the power went out. 4:30, I was up, getting ready for work. Found my little candles, got those lit, got ready for work, and went to work. The wind was howling. There were already things on the ground. It got worse, but there were things on the ground. It was a little bit nutty going in at 6 o'clock in the morning, but no fire had started yet. And so anyway, I went to work. There was no power at home, but there was power at work. So that didn't go out in Kaanapali here until 6:45, right before we were going to open at 7. We had all been preparing. We just about prepared, and then that happened. So, and I knew right away we were leaving, but they needed to figure it out themselves, like, the managers. So that took another hour for them to figure that out. 7:45, we all leave work. I go to Safeway. I go home. I was going to clean and get organized in case the fire came. Day late and $1 short on that, but I ended up taking a nap and waking up and looking outside and seeing some smoke and thinking, oh, and then I still just kind of wasted time. And anyway, forget about me. Let's go back. So So there's theories that some human planned that wind and created it because people can control the weather. I'm not going to go with that theory. That's not the kind of theory I would believe. But you're welcome to it. Second, that the spark came from somebody intentionally. Until there's evidence, or unless there's evidence of that, I'm not going to believe that. With all the power lines down, all it would take is one cigarette, one spark from anything, just a piece of metal hitting something else, uh, and all that wind. I mean, the potential's so great. And I guess there was a fire earlier. I'd like to know the exact timeline of the first fire, but if there was some smoldering stuff that just reignited, which I think is what happened because of the grass, the state of the grass was so charged for fire, so it was so dry. It had oxidized and all that. So that's the start of the fire, and then the wind pushing it, was a thing out of control. Um, so, and then let's hope that the real number of bodies is 98 or whatever, right? Or 106 or 8 or whatever they're telling us. And so, I mean, that's a truth that doesn't sound right, but what if it is true? And if it is, then that's good news. I mean, that's the only good way I can look at that. Um, I think a lot of people thought there was a lot more body bags, and we just wanted to know the number. And it sounds like now that they're just saying it's just 105, and we were thinking it'd be 505 or 1,005. So it's weird, and there didn't seem to be much going on as far as like anything. The official narrative doesn't even seem to want to address this. And I saw somebody questioning Bisson a while back about where were you on that day, and I don't think he ever told anybody. I think he was just embarrassed about where he was, or whatever it was he was up to. Maybe he was drinking on the golf course, or who knows, doing something he shouldn't have been doing, or sleeping. Who knows? I kind of wish we still had Mayor Victorino, because that guy was a take charge guy. Probably would have helped put that fire out somehow. He was I really like that guy. He was old school. That's Shane Victorino's daddy. Let's see what else in the news. Yeah, I mean, I just watched it this morning. They keep talking about it, and all these fundraisers, funds that will not go to help me, which is okay. I don't expect it or deserve it. But it's just funny seeing all these fundraisers everywhere all the time. Love to get a piece of some of that action. I tell you what. Anyway, so let's see here. Safety. You want to know what optimism looks like in a box? I'll say that. I'm going to do that joke another time. It's a little self-deprecating. Yeah, we'll save that one. So if you saw my video of walking around my neighborhood that was all burned down, and there were these Moringa trees that were still there, and then someone commented about them being, the most amazing tree ever. And yes, I agree with you, and I know about what you were talking about. It is the tree of life. It has amazing properties. I've actually made 2 videos out of my 648 videos. 2 of them are just dedicated to Moringa, or in the Filipino community, Moringay. It's funny, in the Filipino community, they have a joke. You know how you find a Filipino's house? You just look for the Moringa tree. Anyway, in whatever, Tagalog or Ilocano. Yeah, if you don't know it, Moringa, you just take the leaves off that tree. That's from my sad video about the ashes. Just that one green tree. There's 3 of them in the neighborhood. If you just take the the leaves off the tree, dry them out, just grind them up. It's a superfood, a complete whole food, has everything: protein, calcium, magnesium, you name it. All the vitamins, more vitamin, more calcium than milk, more protein than yogurt, more vitamin C than an orange, and on and on. It's this amazing stuff, and it grows anywhere easily. It's a super hardy plant tree, Moringa. And they sell it in capsules, which is just so silly. Of all the things to not buy in capsules, is this, because it's so easy to grow. Like you don't have to have any skills. It will grow in a desert. So yeah, it's saving people in places where there's famine and malnutrition. Just planting these trees and taking that stuff is it's a miracle plant. All right, so that is Moringa, and those are some past videos, like the 10th video I ever did, because I thought it was such an important thing to cover, as well as how to pour the perfect beer after working in Germany one summer. 7-minute beer. Anyway, those were some of my first videos. So 640 videos ago. When I was on my trip with my kids recently, we were in Sacramento, and there were all these stores. But there's that one that I did a video about, Evangeline's, that is so amazing. I mean, it just has so many little things in it. Thousands and thousands of things. 2 floors above the floor I walked around down, and I realized I walked through there too fast. I need to go slower with that camera. I'm learning how to make videos by watching my own videos and going, "Oh, Craig, what are you doing? Slow down." So, but so many things in there, funny and otherwise, interesting, joke books. I could see doing jokes from a joke book. Like there's this whole dad joke book, and I could do a whole comedy bit just for, kids from that book and make it easy on myself. Not have to create anything. But anyway, so I saw these finger puppets, these eyeball finger puppets, and they were only $1.50 each. So I thought, okay, I could get out of this store for $3. That makes sense. But it would make no sense for me to buy 2 eyeball finger puppets. And of course, since it would make no sense for me to buy these, there's no good reason for me to do that. That would be the fun of it. My kids would say, "Why did you buy that?" And I would say, because it seemed like the most rational thing to do, the most sensible thing to do was buy this. Obviously, it's just what was obviously the thing I should buy there. Which then they would look at me like, "You make no sense, Dad. What are you talking about? What do you mean it was the most sensible thing you could buy there?" Anyway, that was my joke for myself. But this is what I bought right here. Here we go. My googly eyes. $1.50 each. I got out of that awesome store where there's a lot of cool, interesting stuff for $3. So that's cool. I guess that's a part of it that did make sense. In retrospect, I didn't realize that is the sensible part about it. All right. So what else? It's not related, but this woman that was just rescued, one of the hostages, her last name was Lifshitz. My orthodontist as a kid, his name was Lifshitz, Dr. Lifshitz. And I'd see him occasionally playing tennis too. But he had a partner named Dr. Smith, and Dr. Smith was my brother's, who was 7 years older than me, his and my sister's orthodontist. Or my brother's. Anyway, maybe not my sister's. Anyway, Dr. Smith was an inventor who figured out these ski goggles that were anti-fog Smith goggles. And then he sold his rights and quit working. So when I needed orthodontic work, there was just Dr. Lifshitz. No Dr. Smith anymore. He had retired. So that's how Smith Goggles got started. If you didn't know, there's a piece of trivia that nobody knows because nobody would normally care and no one would ever ask you. But now you know how Smith Goggles started. I got a cooking secret. This is a really good cooking secret. Um, if you didn't know this or think of it ever, uh, if you ever go out to fancy restaurants, you will often, almost always, see something that's glazed, right? Could be chicken, usually fish, and aioli glaze, which is just mayonnaise, of course. Aioli is mayonnaise. So, what in many cases a restaurant will do is just put any flavor, every flavor, into mayonnaise, right? And then smear that on the fish, stick it in the oven, bake it for a few minutes, and bam, you have whatever flavors you put in the mayonnaise will go into the fish. The fish will be all moist because the mayo kept it that way, and you can't really tell that there was mayo on it at the end of the situation, right? So, and let me give you the recipe because I've recited it so many times for the most popular, most beloved Hawaiian dish of all when people come here, or so they think. I don't know if it's necessarily a Hawaiian dish, but it combines macadamia nuts and fish. I don't know if that makes it Hawaiian per se. It's definitely not like laulau or luau food or whatever. Anyway, macadamia nut crusted fish is just okay. Start with a bunch of mayo, of course. Add Japanese breadcrumbs, panko breadcrumbs. Add garlic. Add Parmesan cheese. Add mac nuts. That's it. Smear that on your fish. Stick it in the oven. You will seem like a genius. Um, so, but you could put chipotle, whatever. You could put spices in there. You could put lemon garlic butter in there. Or not lemon garlic. Lemon garlic basil. You could put that in there in your mayo. You could put a hot sauce in there, and it'll go right into your fish or your chicken, or you can do it on steak. Some people smear their turkeys and their chickens with mayonnaise. I know, crazy. Anyway, that is an aioli glaze, and you'll see a lot of that here in Hawaii, and including the most popular mac nut crusted fish is, of course, starts with mayo. So that's a cooking secret for you. And if you come here and want to hire me to cook for you, I'll be happy to. The jokes are free. Let's see what else. Future videos. I'm gonna do some more videos. Lots of different kinds. And yeah, the algorithm will not be able to predict what I'm going to do next. I have almost 1 million views. Thank you all very much for watching. And it'll be fun when I get to 1 million views. I'm not monetized. Doesn't look like I'll ever be able to. Although I have a feeling somehow I'm going to overcome that. Some miracle is going to happen. But I don't know it yet. Right now, I just have a phone that says, in your area, you cannot monetize. And then I go to my area, and it's United States of America. And so I don't know what they want me to do. I'm in the United States of America. So anyway, I bought a little DVD player so I can play my grandpa's home movies and then make movies of that. And I went to Netflix and got a video. If you haven't been in, not Netflix, but Redbox. If you haven't been to Redbox, check it out. It was $2.25 to rent Black Adam for one day, $2.25, or for $1.74 more, for $3.99, I could buy it, right? And I'm likely to be a day late anyway, so I just bought it. So now I own something. That's exciting, but it's just interesting. I don't know if you've been to Redbox lately, but they give you the option to buy the movie for like $1 more. So that was interesting, I thought. Anyway, I've been asked by my brother, what am I drinking? Drink it. Flying Embers. This is from a burned out town, and that's what this is a reference to. I think it came up out of the ashes. Hard kombucha. 6.9%. It's like good beer, and it's got all wonderful ingredients. And Juneshine. This is a Pog Juneshine. I know. Hella cool. 6%. Look at the ingredients right here. Passion fruit, orange, guava, green tea, June kombucha. Just those ingredients. That's pretty cool. Seems like it's the most responsible way to be irresponsible. Is to be working on your gut bacteria and having a beverage. And finally, I have a story that is cool. I don't know this guy's last name. Well, he's out there somewhere, part of my community. So 13 years ago, I was leaving. I left work and I went to Safeway. And the guy in front of me was buying groceries. And he couldn't afford them. He had his kids with him. So, what did it cost? Not much. So I bought his groceries for him. Because he was putting stuff back. He was saying, take that off the thing, take that off. So no big deal. It felt good. But I knew that it wouldn't be a good deed if I told anybody about it, right? So I kept it to myself. And I just forgot about it. I mean, I never brought it up, right? Because a good deed isn't a good deed once you start trying to take credit for it, right? So I just forgot about it, never brought it up. And I really did forget about it. I mean, it was pretty much gone from my memory. Anyway, 7-8 years later, when I was in a far greater position of need, actually, which was cool. Like I wasn't quite as financially solvent as I had been the last time before the divorce, and so and now 8 years after a divorce, yeah, I was financially not nearly as well off and paying child support, working as hard as I could, but didn't really seem to be enough. So, which is why my credit's so bad. One of the reasons that in the pandemic. So 8 years later, I'm at Safeway and I'm buying, a 12-pack of beer after work and some meat and some cheese and some tortillas and some onions. And the guy in front of me or behind me, is he in front of me or behind me? I don't know. Throws down $100 bill and says, I'm buying this guy's groceries. That was like a $65 tab. And I was like, why? I could not understand at all. Like, why would he do that? And he's like, oh, you're a really good guy. I was like, what? I was like, what? Made no sense to me, right? I didn't remember it. And he wouldn't tell me. And then finally, just before he left, because I think he was in front of me, he told me. And then I had to think about it for a while to knock that memory loose because it was so far down in there, I don't have very many brain cells, so it's hard to, dig down deep. But then I remembered it, and I was thinking, oh, anyway, so that was pretty cool. This guy, Nick, bought my groceries 8 years later to say thanks for buying his groceries 8 years previous. So that's pretty cool. That's some small town shit right there. Gotta love a small town. Anyway, thank you for watching my channel, and I'm hoping to do some open mic stand-up comedy tonight. So we'll see how many minutes I get before they kick me off stage, which is one of my frustrations with this business of open mic and all that. And we'll see if it's even there. I think there's something going on at this place. So that's interesting. I'm going to do other kinds of videos, skateboarding videos. I've been cranking my trucks down, trying to get them stiff enough to be able to skate this hill up here, which is super dangerous and super fun. So, but I've done it 1,000 times, so it's not like dangerous for me, you know. Anyway, thanks for watching All Good Things and All Good Time. Be sure to be good to yourself. Try not to gamble. It's being shoved down your throat by the NFL every time you turn on the TV. It's being shoved down your throat every time you go get gas. These stupid lottery tickets everywhere. We don't have lottery tickets here. We're not allowed to gamble here. I can't even play fantasy gamble, NFL DraftKings. I'm not allowed to do that here in Hawaii, which I don't mind. It's probably good for me, right? But it's funny how the states that talk about family values, are pushing freaking. I've never seen. They have porn superstores, size of Walmart, freaking fireworks, guns, strip joints, things that I don't have in my crazy liberal community here. It's wonderful. I love this community. Anyway, yeah, yeah, a lot of good family values in this town, Lahaina. I tell you what, they're real. So, yes, be good to yourself. Do no harm to others. Do no crime. Teach your kids to do no harm, to do no crime. Tip 20%. Do something to make the world a better place today, maybe, if you can. Could be small, but, say something nice to somebody. And, yeah, have a great day. Aloha. Oh, sorry it took me so long.